came in, the air went out. And all those shadows there filled up with doubt. I don't know who you
True Blood Season 5. Where do we begin? Well, how about at the end of Season 4, we saw Tara make the ultimate sacrifice for Suki by jumping in front of a bullet, taking it to the head, and she seemingly died. So at the beginning of this season, first episode, you see Suki and Lafayette so desperate to save Tara, or what's left of her, that they beg Pam to turn Tara into a vampire. And I really like this because I guess I was one of the few people that still liked Tara up until this point. I heard some people say that they didn't like Tara anymore, they were sick of her, they wanted her to just get killed off. I don't understand that. I like the fact that we kept her around, and not only that, turning her into a vampire just opened up so much more. Not only with this character, but seeing a major character on this show turn into a vampire, and just how at first she's so out of control and just full of rage, and you don't know if she's because of that, because she just got turned, or it's because of the bullet to the head, and maybe she's just not herself anymore. But the night when she finally escapes and she's sort of looking out and she's experiencing exactly what it means to be a vampire, how she can see the forest clearly around her, her senses are heightened, she can see the stars, and then how she can't control the hunger and how she just wants to feed on any human that she can. All of that I found interesting. Now, probably my favorite part of this season was, for the first time seemingly, Bill and Eric working together, just sort of being like partners, which is very awesome. At the beginning, because they're on the run from killing Nan Flanagan in the finale of last season, they're running from the authority, and they meet up with Eric's sister, Nora. Their sister from Blood Vampire. They were both made by Godric. And then they get cut off by the authority and brought in as prisoner. And that's where we meet Roman, the head of the authority. He's played by Christopher Maloney. And not only a great actor to come in as the head of the authority, but actually seeing the authority for the first time was a little creepy. It brought a certain presence to the show, especially because we've heard the authority mentioned so much, and they are the law. The whole play on the fact that there is an original testament, the Vampire Bible, and it states that God is a vampire, Lilith. And it's just taking this whole mythology to that level I thought was very brave of the show, and I fully welcomed it. Speaking of something that I really enjoyed in the season, Russell Edgington returned. After he was buried in cement by Bill and Eric at the end of Season 3, somebody dug him out. And not only are they trying to figure out who did this, but just seeing a character like Russell back out there because he's so out of control, he's so crazy, he's so unpredictable, and I really love this actor. I'm so glad that they brought this character back. And Steve Newlin, yes, the Reverend from Season 2 of the Fellowship of the Sun, is now a vampire. Wow. Not only did I not see that coming, but the scene when he goes to Jason's house and comes out as a gay vampire American is just priceless. Speaking of Jason, the triangle that goes on between Jason, Jessica, and Hoyt. You feel so bad for Hoyt. You do. I mean, there's a part of me that actually enjoys seeing Jason and Jessica together because they have good chemistry, but what it does to Hoyt, how he just goes on such a downward spiral when he becomes so low to the point where he begs Jessica to glamour him to forget all about Jessica and Jason. It's sad. And he goes off, he goes and gets a job in Alaska. He leaves the show. This hate group who wear Obama masks, and they're going around with wooden bullets and they're killing all types of supes, vampires, werewolves, shifters. They're just killing anyone that's not human. That had to be the craziest subplot ever. Literally, these guys are wearing Obama masks and they're just full of hate and they're crazy. And when you see that the former sheriff, the guy that was the sheriff the first 3 seasons, he's at the head of all this with some crazy fat bitch who's just, I guess, having him do all of it. I can't tell you just how over the top, how insane, and how crazy all of that was. You know that every season has its share of flashbacks. And I think the best flashbacks in this season, at least, was Pam meeting Eric. That was so fascinating to watch. Seeing these two characters who, up until now, as vampires, they're so close, especially Pam, how loyal she is to Eric. Seeing her as a human, and she was a madam for a whorehouse, and how low she was, how she didn't want to live anymore, and how she sort of forced Eric to turn her. All of that I loved. Jason finding out that vampire killed his parents. I love that also. It puts such a twist on what happened to their parents, and it renews Jason's hatred for vampires. I think it gives him a good reason for why he doesn't like them. And then finding out that one of their ancestors promised this vampire Warlow their first fairy female, and that's Sookie. So this Warlow vampire is out there and he's going after Sookie. He was the one that killed their parents. The scene where Sookie channels her mother's memories of the night when they were killed, and you just see Warlow on the bridge. It's raining and he's in the trench coat and the hat. It's so creepy. I was fascinated by this Warlow character. Andy impregnated a fairy. Last season we saw he met her in the woods. They slept together. He meets her again in this season because you see that this group of fairies have this sort of nightclub in the middle of the woods, which I admit is a little goofy and weird, but I mean, hey, I was all for seeing more fairies being introduced and seeing more of their mythology. But when she gets pregnant so quickly, and then by the end of the season she gives birth to 4 daughters for Andy, you're like, what? And then she just leaves them there for Andy to take care of. Wow, fairies are kind of assholes. Now, probably the dumbest storyline in this season, I will admit, is Terry Belfour and Arlene having to deal with the smoke monster from Lost. I know they call it the Afreet. I know it's some curse that was put on Terry from when he was in Iraq, but and I'm not even saying this because they're side characters that are getting their own story. I like the idea of Terry and Arlene getting their own side plot. I love that. It's just what they gave them is so dumb and so uninteresting. I like the idea of seeing what happened to Terry when he was in the war because he came back so screwed up. Just this explanation. Not everything has to be supernatural based. I know it's True Blood, so it might be funny to say that, but I think it would have been refreshing to have maybe just Terry's story be a little bit more grounded and more just personal for them. One of the coolest moments that came towards the end was Eric finally killing Russell Edgington. This has been such a long time coming, and the moment where it happens, the build-up is so great. Russell is going after the fairies. He drains one of the elderly fairies, and he absorbs her blood. And he's going after the fairies. He's so powerful by this point. And Eric comes up from behind him and stakes him. And at first, you don't think he's going to die because maybe the fairy blood makes him immune to it. But then, no, he evaporates. And I love Eric's reaction of, that felt a lot better than I thought it would. But the craziest cliffhanger and ending probably in this season or this whole series is, and actually has a lot to do with Bill's character arc or character change through this whole season, where he's becoming lost in this religious propaganda and he's changing. He's becoming a dark and sort of dangerous evil guy. And it's crazy to see Bill become this because he's always been the good vampire, the vampire that's tried to cling on to his humanity, but now it's almost like he is fully embracing this new aspect to vampirism. And at the end, where he just completely drinks Lilith's blood, and it looks like he dies, just turns into blood and then becomes resurrected and looks full-blown evil. I loved it. I mean, yeah, it's tragic to see this happen to Bill, but it was so unexpected, so shocking, that I love seeing this side of Bill, this evil side of Bill, and I was so looking forward to seeing what different direction the show is going to take. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed by what they did with Bill after this point, but still, I loved what happened to him in this season. I loved where he ended up by the end of the season. I'm going to say that True Blood Season 5, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot going on for it. I think it was able to come back and bring back some of those aspects of Season 1 that we enjoyed, like humans versus vampires. A lot of that going on in this season. So, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Season 5? What did you think of Bill turning evil, becoming Billith? Yes, Billith. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!